Good morning, everyone. Decided to make some mince curry today, mutton mince, and I will be showing you some of the ingredients and some of the method in which I use to cook the mutton mince curry. So let's go about it. Okay, I've got some chopped onion, chopped tomato, a few leaves of mint, a small handful of coriander or dhania, cubed some potatoes, and we've got our lamb, or sorry, mutton mince, which we're going to use for the lamb. Sorry, mutton mince curry. On this side, I've already got some rice steaming. I've put a bit of, it's about half a kilo of normal long grain rice. I've got it boiling with about half a teaspoon of turmeric, about 5 ilachi. I'm also deciding to be a bit adventurous and add some boiled egg, which I'm obviously going to sort that out soon. And in the meanwhile, I've got some oil that's warming up. I've tossed in the onion just to fry a bit till it's a bit translucent. A lot of people like to brown the onion. I don't believe in that. I somehow believe that you end up cooking the taste out of the onion. So just going to add that to let it soften a bit, and then I'm going to add in some of the masala. The onion seems to have softened a bit. As I said, I don't want to fry them out where they actually reduce. I don't want to keep them as is, more or less, but slightly translucent. And I'm now ready for the masala. The masala is in. Let's stir it a bit. Earlier on, I showed you some of the basic ingredients, but I'm also adding some ginger garlic paste. We'll let that cook into the onion and the masala. In addition to that, I just threw in a few leaves of curry leaf. I'll cut more of the curry leaf for a little later. In goes the tomatoes, stirred into the masala paste. The tomatoes and masala paste seem to be getting along very well together, so I just want to make sure that the tomato purees itself into the masala. I'm just going to give it a slight mash, and I want it into a sort of consistency where it's almost into a chutney. The steam from the rice seems to be coming this way. Now, for those of you who are wondering, the masala that I've used, you may notice I've only used one type of masala. Well, it's actually a mix. It's called the Kashmiri mix masala. The Kashmiri mix masala, it's a lovely red color. And we, in this household, when we use the Kashmiri mix masala, we don't use anything else. Otherwise, I believe that it will ruin the taste and the flavor. Okay, it's more or less where I want it to be, but I'm just going to give it a few seconds. I'm going to mash it a bit more, and then I'm going to throw in the potatoes. The tomato has reached a consistency that I'm happy with. So just before I put the potatoes in, I'm going to pour in these chopped herbs, which is the mint and the coriander. That's some onion there as well, the leftover from earlier on. I just decided to include that in that mix of herbs. And I'm going to now give it a bit of stir. Now the way I'll get taught is when the oil sort of separates itself, as you can see there, it sort of separates itself from the masala and tomato mixture, you know it's more or less ready to do the rest of whatever you need to do. And because this is a mince curry, I am going to be adding potatoes. I've cut these into sort of cubes, not into quarters. I normally reserve the honor of that when we're cooking a bigger sort of curry, if it's a lamb or mutton or a chicken curry, and where we love the potatoes cut into bigger portions. So it's going to give this a bit of stir as well. I began cooking at a very young age, so I believe I am an asset a bit to Sarah. She's a lovely cook herself, but for me cooking is a form of de-stressing. I love cooking. So yeah, we're just going to let this simmer a bit on a medium heat. I'm going to pour in a little bit of water as well. And once that's done, then we'll obviously be ready to add the mince, but let it cook for a short while. I've added a bit of water, and while I was at it, I added about a teaspoon of salt, approximately. You can add salt as per your individual or as per your family's taste. It's a bit of stir, and I'm going to let it simmer a bit. In the meanwhile, the rice seems to be getting along quite well, boiling away. As I said, I've got it in it's about half a kilo of rice. I've got 5 ilachi pods in there, approximately a tablespoon of fine salt. Now remember, in both instances, the curry and the rice, I'm using fine salt. And also, at the initial stages of boiling the rice, I added in some oil to the water. I guess that it's there for it not to stick, but that's the way I've recently picked up to do. So that's the rice with, as you can see, a few ilachi pods. That's the potato simmering. That looks good to eat as is, without any other additions to it. Yeah, going back to the masala, as I said earlier on, the masala that we used is the Kashmiri mix masala. It's a special blend that we buy from the spice shop here, rather than buying the individual spices separately and doing a mix at home. These guys mix it according to our taste. You can buy it either hot or extra hot or mild. We choose the mild because if ever we wanted it hot, we can always add some chilies to it. And in this quantity ratio of meat and the amount of potatoes there, we've used about 2 heaped tablespoons of the Kashmiri mix masala. While I'm cooking, just decided to have a seat, and I notice these two rascals, Milo and sorry, that's the door banging. Milo, don't get scared. Milo and Puddles. Where's Puddles? They decide to push this little seat and sit behind them, hoping to be out of sight. Now how's that for spoiled brats? You spoiled brats? You spoiled brats? Yes. The rice seems done, but I need to drain out the excess water. Now we'll let it steam for a little while so that it reaches our sense of perfection. And the potato oops, everything steaming. That seems ready. The potatoes are taken a little longer because these are not soft cooking potatoes, these are firm cooking potatoes. But what does help is that I've cut them into cubes rather than leaving them into bigger pieces. So I'll give it a little while longer before I add the mince to that. I've had to add a little bit more water to allow a bit more cooking time, just for the rice to soften more to a sort of consistency that we prefer, not too hard, not too soft. And in the meanwhile, the eggs are boiled, so we'll deshell that, and we'll put that into the curry once we've added the mince and the mince is more or less cooked. I'm ready for the mince to add it into my curry, so I'm just going to take them into little scoops and throw them in. I don't want them too much like a kebabish style or lumpy mince. I want them to separate. I'm going to stir it in a few minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the rest of it, and then we'll have a look at how the curry is taking shape. I might as well put all while the camera is on. So what I am going to add to this are the curry leaves, which there is no real sequence in that you have to put the curry leaves now, but because I'm going to garnish with the coriander a little later. I might as well just throw in the curry leaves now. Okay, that's the curry leaves chucked in. Give it a good stir. I'm going to check in the freezer if Sarah hasn't got some peas and try my luck and take some of those peas to add into this mince curry. But maybe I shouldn't try my luck too much because I'm also adding some boiled eggs into this. As you can see, it's on standby. I've got them cooling. I've added cold water to that so it's easier to deshell. Rice, as I said earlier, I've added more water to allow additional cooking time. That's almost done, I've just checked. And the let this simmer away. Potatoes are almost done, so let the mince cook into that, let all the flavors absorb into one another. And when it's ready, I'll add I'll add the boiled eggs to that. The rice is boiled. I've drained the excess water and got it steaming on the stove, on the hot plate. The hot plate is off, but the additional heat that's there at the moment will help any excess water to evaporate. In the meanwhile, I've managed to get the boiled eggs deshelled or peeled, whatever terminology you guys use. And here the curry, the minced curry, is taking shape quite nicely. So hopefully shortly we can marry all of these together. These rascals of ours are restless. Yes, Puddles, from the mess that he created over there, her and her brother Milo, upsetting that seat out of its place just for them to sit behind it. They're now over here. Well, I don't know where's Milo. He must be exploring somewhere on the outside. Well, they do keep us busy. Puddles? Puddles? Okay, she's gonna ignore us. She seems very peacefully asleep. With these two pups that we have, the father is a German Shepherd and the mother is some other crossbreed. So I don't know what to really call them, but I guess we'll call them a German Shepherd cross. Possibly, I don't know. But adorable little pups. They really keep us busy, as I said a little earlier. And morning and afternoon, before work and after work, they really have us checked. The curry is done, the minced curry. I've just laid out the boiled eggs. Sarah prefers them sliced in halves, which I've done. And I'm just basically ready to sprinkle the coriander, the dhania. And I'm going to let this just sit on the hot plate. The stove is off. Let it simmer a little, just for the flavors to give one final settle together, and then we should be ready to eat. This was a very simple recipe. I hope you enjoyed following it through, and when you do cook it, I hope you enjoy eating it as well.